Hey folks, welcome back to Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. We're here in the Shrine of Amana. We've made our way through one gauntlet of enemies, but there's still plenty of excitement to be had as we make our way over to that fog gate over there. But first, there is a ramshackle building for us to check out. So in here, there are some prizes. They're not super exciting. We got Large Soul of a Proud Knight, Smooth and Silky Stone. Interestingly, a corpse that does not have an item on it. This is purely for set dressing. Very strange. Who might it be? I have no idea. We also have a summon sign for Lone Hunter Schmidt. Schmidt could be useful because he is an archer, and as you have no doubt observed, there are a lot of long-range enemies in this area, so having an archer on your side could be useful. But I'm just going to save it for the boss, like I usually do. Now, those with keen ears may have heard some cackling. Over here, for some reason that I'm really not clear on, there are some curse pots just sitting in the water. Now what we can do, if we want to go over there, we could grab some fire bombs or other projectile and throw it. And that'll cause them to smash. Now, is there anything worth grabbing? I don't think so. Pretty sure it's just set dressing. So there's no item here. Very strange. I don't know. I don't really know what the point of these things was. Other than knowing that the Melfinito sing in order to calm the creatures that are beset by death and dark, and those pots are kind of darkish. That's all I got. Anyway, this guy has trouble with pillars. Don't judge him, okay? He's very sensitive. Alright, so, this gauntlet here going to... Wow. Chill out, bud. Whoa. That is reaching ludicrous speed. Huh. Anyway, so this section here that leads up to this fog gate, it holds a special dark place in my heart. Because, when I originally played through this game several years ago, I was playing it on an older, not-so-great computer, kind of on its last legs, and I had to play the game with some of the settings lowered. And by some of them, I mean all of them lowered to the base settings. And the game still looked good, but there was a problem. And that problem was draw distance. You'll note that there are a bunch of enemies. They've got priestesses, they've got archdrakes, and there's a priestess way back far that way, and there's one there. And the thing is, on my old computer, these enemies were too far away for the game to actually load in, because it was trying to save processing power. So these enemies were not visible. I was incapable of fighting them from a distance. I was incapable of sniping them, which means I had to get closer in order to actually attack them. And that means that I was putting myself in harm's way. So this one's a healer. Let's take care of this guy real quick. The healer's annoying, one, because, yeah, it can heal. Two, because when it starts the healing process, that animation causes it to lower itself down. And you have to readjust your shot in order to actually be able to hit it. Let's try this again. There we go. So yeah, back on my old computer. Rest in peace, that old computer. Basically, they would not load in at this distance. And sometimes if I was lucky, I could creep closer and they would just pop in and I'd be able to hit it with an arrow. And the arrow would push it back a couple feet and that would put it out of attack range. Or load in range. And that made sniping this section impractical. And it's one of the few times when I've had an actual technical limitation other than the frame rate was terrible and unplayable. Which has never happened in this game. Anyway, let's see. I think there's a couple... Yeah, there's an Archdrake and a Priestess over there as well. There we go. Let's see, when you have a computer that can actually load things at far distances, sniping is a lot easier, and I appreciate it. Anywho, I believe that clears out all those enemies, so it is safe to proceed, other than the aquatic hollows that I know are lurking beneath the surface. So this path here with the roots, this is a side path to an item. There's a hollow there. Now this is a bit of a dangerous side path, because as you can see, there is a Cyclops here. And I don't know about you, but I don't really want to fight a Cyclops in waist-deep water. The maneuverability is not so great in this water, and therefore I don't want to try my luck at it. So I'm actually going to use an arcane technology called an Alluring Skull, which up until now I don't think I've used at all in my Dark Souls videos. Using this item attracts enemies. I don't know if it actually works on Cyclopses. Yeah, it does. Cool. Alright, out of here. And once you escape from this tunnel, it will not follow you. So we're good. Alright, so I closed out of it real quick, but what we picked up was the Singer's Dress. It's a dress worn by a far-gone muse. Offers almost no physical defense, but is blessed with high resistance to magic. These enchanting singers were given song by the great dead one, and have little concept of self. They live only to sing, and will continue singing until they can do so no longer. So a couple things to point out there. First off, if you are finding yourself being hit by the priestess's attacks a lot, the Singer's Dress could definitely be your ally. You'll note that it has 50 magic resistance, and for comparison's sake, that is better than anything else we have by a pretty wide margin. I think this is the next one we have, and this is super heavy. So resistance to magic definitely could be a benefit if you're struggling. Second off, they were given song by the great dead one. Now, Dark Souls never likes to be super specific when it's being coy like this. I'm fairly sure that means Nito. I say that because Nito was the first of the dead and had a lot of sway in dead circles. And also because the singers that wear the singers' dresses are the Melfinito. Nito is in the name. And the internet backs me up on this, so that's cool. Last thing, they have little concept of self. You may remember that the first Melfinito we met and spoke to in the Shrine of Amana always used the pronoun we. That wasn't her using the royal we, that was her considering herself part of a hive mind. Archdrake Mace. Did we already have a Archdrake Mace? I think we... No, we did not. Okay. A mace normally issued to clerics of the Archdrake sect of Lindelt. The land of Lindelt is governed by stringent laws, and those who dare defy them are punished without mercy. It is often the sinful who seek piety, spurred only by a selfish desire for salvation. That is a bold statement that people could take issue with. I'm going to choose to interpret that as the belief of the Lindelt Church and not some objective statement of truth. Anywho, up here, got some alluring skulls. Maybe for use with that Cyclops. Now, before we head into that fog gate, you'll notice that there is an enemy over, or not an enemy, an item up along the wall there. We can't actually reach it, but it does tempt us enough to walk out over here and get an item that we can reach. Soul of a Hero, which is a very large soul if I remember right, and a Divine Blessing. That is very precarious out by there, by the way. Stick to the wall. Alright, into the fog gate. There's still plenty of level left, so you can rightfully conclude that this is not a boss. However, we do have to deal with these creepy crawly beetle guys. You remember these guys from Earthen Peak. Now, in Earthen Peak, they, when threatened and when close to a player, emitted a poison gas cloud. Things are a little different now, in that rather than emitting poison gas, they emit corrosive gas. Corrosive gas being a gas that completely just trashes your equipment. I don't think any of this is from the gas, though. But it eats away at your equipment pretty darn quick, so you got to be careful. I definitely recommend either one-shotting them, which I can do on an initial slash, it looks like, but not a follow-up, or attacking from a distance. There's also this big one that I'm guessing is like a kind of a mother or something, because all the other ones are kind of hanging out near it and reluctant to leave, or they're protecting it. And the mother, or the, I don't know, maybe it's a big brother, who knows. The big one emits a much larger cloud. You are basically definitely going to want to attack it at range. There we go. Left chimes, nice. Okay, so there is a bonfire here. Don't overlook it. You'll definitely want it. And there is another summon sign. This time it is for Felicia the Brave. Bye, Felicia. Let's light the bonfire. And this is as far as I want to go for this episode, but there is a little story I want to tell. I'm not going to rest at the bonfire to show you, because that would respawn enemies, but this bonfire is called Roy's Resting Place. Roy spelled R-H-O-Y. Now, you may remember the name Roy. In addition to being our boy, Roy is the owner of the Ring of Whispers, which allowed you to hear the inner voices of surrounding foes, of creatures, of enemies, of monsters. Now, there is an encounter with Roy that I did not show off, although I mentioned that it could happen. Back in the Grave of Saints, which is that area before the gutter down in the well, there is a possibility for an invasion by Roy the Explorer if you are not part of the Rat Covenant. When I went through, I was, so he didn't invade. But if you're not, you'll be attacked by Roy. So that tells a little story of Roy communing with monsters, speaking with monsters, joining with monsters. But then we get to Roy's resting place. Now, what would bring Roy here? Well, as we will learn, the boss of this area is kind of a siren in a mythological sense. It sings in order to lure food into its lair so it can kill it and eat it. So, color me a little bit crazy here. I'm thinking maybe Roy, wearing the Ring of Whispers, heard that song, was enticed by it, maybe thought he could communicate with the creator of that song, was lured in, and was killed. That's my thought. I don't know for sure. I didn't see anybody on the internet say anything about that, but it's viable. It seems like every time I come up with a wacky off-the-wall theory, it's based on the name of a bonfire. It was the old Akelair in the Shaded Woods area, and now there's this. So who knows? Maybe this is the key to everything. Maybe bonfires are what we've been missing the whole time. Anyway, that wraps up that section of Shrine of Amana. In the next episode, we will start the final leg through the shrine. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.